Hi everybody, my name is Ricardo and today we're going to be rewiring our brand new Salem FSX 178 bunkhouse. And the reason why we're doing that is because when we started looking at these campers and these trailers, we actually noticed that only one of the lights turns on with the switch, and there was no way to actually change that up. I know some of the other trailers and other brands, you can go around and turn all of them on and then they'll all work off of the switch, but with this one, only the light over the kitchen actually turns on with the switch. The other ones don't turn on at all. So we found that pretty annoying. We don't like having to go around the whole trailer having to turn on all the lights, and even though it's not a very big trailer, we just prefer to have all of them turn on, or at least most of them turn on. So today what we're going to do is actually rewire the lights in the main living area to be able to run right off of the switch in the control panel. The tools that we're going to be using today is going to be my electric screwdriver to make things just a little bit easier, even though there's not a whole lot going on. The electrical cable wire strippers, crimpers, cutters. I went ahead and purchased some electrical connectors. The ones that come in this trailer are actually Wago connectors. They are really nice, and you can just flip a little tab on them and they come apart. Additionally, what I went ahead and did was I went and got 14 gauge electrical wire from Home Depot. So we'll go ahead and use those. That should be plenty to be able to run from this overhead light over to the other ones that we need to. And the last thing, one of the most important things to me, is going to be the fishing tape. That's going to help me get the wire over to the other sections. Now, I went ahead and did a little bit of investigating ahead of time, which is why you see some of the lights hanging right now. And that was in order to get prepared for this ahead of time and know what I was going to get myself into. So we're basically going to rewire and run new cabling for these lights straight from the light that runs off of the switch. Now, it sounds a little bit more complicated than it is. The concept is actually pretty simple and easy, but what may put us into a little bit of trouble is actually running the cabling. The reason for that is because up here on the roof, there's actually joists running across the top. Now, again, I did a little bit of homework ahead of time, and I know that I can get my fishing tape through it. So it is possible. It's just going to take a little bit longer time and finagling a little bit to get it to the exact spots. So the first step to this process is to go outside and disconnect your battery cables from the battery to make sure that there's no power going into your travel trailer at all. All right, so the first thing that you have to do is remove these lights from the ceiling. As you can see, they're small, tiny little lights. They're pretty easy to remove. All you got to do is take this clear cover and twist it off until it snaps off. And then there's just 3 simple screws going into the ceiling. Undo those and this will pop right out. What I went ahead and did was figured out where the cabling was going to. So what I identified was that this white and pink cable is actually the one going straight into the switch, and then the other ones are actually going off of a blue and white cabling. So I'm gonna go ahead and tap into this pink cable that's connected to the switch and run new wires to the lights that I want to operate off of the switch. I can still control each individual light. As long as the switch is actually still turned on, I can go around and turn off the remaining lights and only have 2 out of the 3 lights, or 1 out of the 4 lights, or whatever the case is, be on at any one time if I choose to do that. So I'm not committed to having every single light turned on all the time just because I'm doing this rewiring. All right, so I went ahead and got 4 port connectors. The reason why I did that was because I'm attaching 3 lights, and what this is going to allow me to do is run one wire from this pink cable over here that's already connected to the switch. It actually already has an empty port, so I can add an extra cable and have it go into my 4-port connector, and then the additional 3 lights that I need to wire off of have a space dedicated for it. Alright, so I'm just grabbing and making my little pigtail that's going to be going straight from the existing connection over to my new port. Right, then you're going to do the exact same thing with the other cable. Alright, so now this is where the fun part begins. We're going to grab our fishing tape and we're going to go from, we're going to try to do the easy light first. So we're going to go from, actually this is the hard one because there's actually a joist somewhere right around here going through it. Now I did notice that there's a green electrical AC cable going from here to here, at least just traveling in this path. So that's one of the reasons that I knew that I could get through that. I didn't know how difficult it would be, but when I did my test run, it was actually pretty simple. Alright, so that was actually pretty easy. It didn't take me all of 5 to 10 seconds to actually get it over there. Now I can hear it and I know it's somewhere over here. I'm just sticking my finger in. Obviously be careful. But sometimes you gotta play around with it a little bit. That's it. So then we go ahead and crimp these. Now if you see here, this light is actually connected to 2 other cables. This is where it's getting its connection from. I actually don't know exactly where they're going, but what I do know is that they are connected to all the other lights and all the USB cables around the rig. So we're actually going to leave these 2 cables alone, and we're going to grab the white and black that are going only to the light. So we take the lever up, pull the cable out, and there we go. So grab one of the connectors. If you're using these connectors, just make sure that they are fully in all the way. I believe that's as far. Yep, so if you see, you can actually see the end of the connector right there. That's all the way in. We're going to take our black connector from the LED light and basically do the same thing. They just push right in. Sometimes it's easier to grab some pliers to get to push it in all the way that you need so it doesn't bend on you like that. And you do the same thing with the red cable. And because I connected the red cable to the white cable over on the other side, then I want to make sure I do the same thing on this side. Red cable with white cable. Alright, as you can see, one of the reasons why I don't like using these is because you do have to push them in, and because you're using a stranded cable, I did forget to mention that before, it is stranded cable, they're a little bit harder to slide in. These are usually a little bit easier if it was just one of the solid connectors. So definitely recommend those Wagos. As you could see, when I went to pull it off and on, it's just as simple as lifting a lever, and that's it. That's the okay. All right. These other cables, they were connected to each other before the way that they are now. So all we ended up doing was removing the cables that were on the third port going to the LED lights and removed it off of that. And that's it. You don't have to do anything else with this. You can just pop these back in to the ceiling the way that they were before. In this case, we're actually going to connect them over to our little pigtails that we created at the beginning. So red matches with red. And black matches with black. There you go. And that's it. So now what we're going to do is run the phishing tape for all of the other lights and follow the same process. Run the phishing tape, get your wires through, plug the connectors in, and then get them connected over to this right here. Then we can go ahead and get our batteries plugged in and test our system. So we're gonna try to go from this location straight to that location. I don't think it's gonna work, but we're gonna try it anyways, because that would mean that we have to get through the header, the piece of wood that's going right here, and then give it a nice left turn to get around this, and then another turn over there. So probably not gonna work. Probably what I'll do is run the cables from here to here, then to over there. Which if that's the case, then I probably should have done that at the beginning and just had all the cables already there, and I don't have to redo it now. Alright, so I didn't waste too much time on it. The best thing to do is run the cables right from over the microwave, bring it to this connection, and then bring it back. So I already did it once. I'm gonna have to do it again, and hopefully I don't regret it. There's our cable. Then what we're going to do is connect it to an open port on the little pigtails that we created here, where we connected this light over here. Alright, so I got those three connected. Alright, so learn from my mistakes. So while I was pulling this apart, because all of this was tangled together and I didn't like it, I wasn't paying attention to this cable and it got sucked back in. So then I just spent at least 30 minutes trying to get this cable back out. I was able to do it, so I'll get this connected. Alright, so now I have these nicely separated. All of the red is on this side, all of the black is on this side. But we're not done yet. Now we have to do this light right up here that is a little bit closer. This one's going to be a little bit more difficult because you have the AC unit right up here and it's not necessarily a direct line. There's also another issue that we're running into, is that there's a little header. I know I can get to it because I actually got to it pretty quickly on the other one, or when I was trying it out. So let's work on it. So what I did the first time was I ran it from here because there's a header here, and it is actually easier once you get through the header to do everything else. If you were to start from this side and work over to the header, trying to get through it is a lot more difficult. Got it. The concept is easy, but actually doing it, sometimes it's a little bit of a pain in the ass. Alright, so now that we got that, connect the cable to it and hope it comes back out. Wow, that pulled back a hell of a lot easier than I expected. We went through 2 studs, or headers, or whatever the hell you want to call them, but that went super smooth. Alright, so again, rinse and repeat. Get rid of these ones because we don't need them anymore. Alright, so before we button anything up, you want to make sure that everything works. So we'll go back outside, plug the battery back in, and test out the lights. Let's go. Alright, so now we're back into the trailer, and we're going to flip the switch to see if these lights turn on. Oh, looks like it's working. So it looks like these 2 lights are working. Looks like this one is working. This one doesn't seem on, but oh, there we go. So they are all working. So if I press the button one more time, everything works. Now that we're done, we can go ahead and button everything up. So now all I have to do when we come in is press the switch and all of my lights turn on and off. And as you can see, I can modify so I can turn on just all of them or one individual or whatever the case is. I am not a professional. I don't do this for a living. This is just a DIY. If you have any questions, go ahead and message me. If you think I did something incorrectly or I need to modify something, then please let me know. Otherwise, I will see you during the next project.